Hello and welcome to Write the Docs. My name's Eric Holscher and I'm the chair of this year's virtual conference. Um, didn't get many applause this year, but there's a funny story that Mikey, who does the Prague conference, and myself, we've been going back and forth. She has a lot of stage experience, and she's been kind of teaching me how to do the opening so that I get applause instead of just standing there awkwardly. But this year, I continue my long tradition of sitting here awkwardly at the opening. But anyway, that light note aside, we have a few kind of important things we want to note at the opening, and then we'll get into kind of the conference introduction itself. So first off, I really want to kind of touch base on or touch on something that we've done the last few years, which is kind of paying respect to the land and the history of it that we're sitting or standing on today. I'll do this for Portland, but I welcome you to kind of think about the land that you're on currently and kind of the history of it, and how that's changed over time. Let's say. So we acknowledge that this land rests on the traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Clackamas, Chinook, Tualatin, Malala, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land with a moment of silence. Thank you. The other thing we wanted to note this year is the Black Lives Matter movement that's been happening in the United States through a series of protests and demonstrations, as well as around the world. It's really been amazing to see the kind of movement for equality throughout our country and our world and our community as well. And we just wanted to show our support for that movement. We did some matching donations earlier in the year, and we're also thinking, kind of internally about how much more we can do to kind of really make sure that we're promoting the values that we really want to see in the world through our organization and through our community and through kind of the tech industry as a whole. And so I just wanted to take a moment to kind of pay respect to the movement and the work that so many are doing to improve the world all around us this year. And it's been a rough year for everybody. The pandemic, and for many of us being trapped at home, for a few months, or even kind of still ongoing in some way in some cases. It's really been rough on our team, the Write the Docs community, and the whole world. And so I really just wanted to take this moment to say that we as a community, hope and really hope that you're doing okay. And if not, hopefully this conference will bring you a little bit of joy, a little bit of community, a little bit of connectedness. And we really hope that this can be a positive moment in your year that has been, those have been hard to come by this year for a lot of us. And so we're really trying to do our best to kind of make this a positive and connected moment for all of us. And we hope that, by the end of this, we're all feeling better, and we're all feeling kind of, reinvigorated, and from the connections we're able to kind of feel through this event. And it won't be quite the same as being in person at the Crystal Ballroom, bouncy floor and all. I look at this picture fondly, and just the warmth and the energy and the kind of experience of being in the room, won't be quite the same online, but we're really trying our hardest to kind of bring as much of that energy and as much of that connectedness to this online space as we can, because that's really all we can do in these times, right? Is feel that connection. And we miss you all, and we wish you were here to give high fives and stand in Pac-Man shaped circles. But I'm sure we'll get back to it here sometime soon. So just wanted to kind of make a note of that as well. So on to the conference. How is this thing working? So you are currently at the stage. You're watching my talk on that right here or right here. one of these sides where the menu is. That's the stage, so that'll be all of our talks will happen there. And we'll have talks, and then we'll also have moderated Q&A afterwards with our MC. So that'll be really exciting. We haven't done that in the past, but we figured because of our new format, everyone's going to have a computer, so we'll be able to kind of submit questions and do some moderation there, which will be really cool. The unconference, the social events, the job fair, all that stuff, the writing day yesterday is excuse me, happening in the sessions tab. So check that out. That's all being kind of organized through a series of Google Sheet, or one Google Sheet with a bunch of tabs for each day. So definitely check that out, and I'll explain a little more as we go. The expo hall is where the sponsor booths are. So 3 of our top sponsors have booths, and we also have a help desk there. The Write the Docs, you can think of it as kind of a virtual registration desk. If you have any questions about the stuff, that's where to go. And then the networking tab, there is actually a cool thing. It lets you just have like a few minute conversation with a random person, just like we're thinking of that kind of as a hallway track. So it's a way for meeting new people, and if you just want to kind of find someone to chat with, you can always go there, and you'll just be connected with some random person. You can talk about docs. So when you are in the stage, you'll see there's a chat that has kind of the full event, and then there's like a stage chat. To ask questions, put them in the stage chat and prefix them with a Q and a colon, and then we'll kind of pull those all together and give them to the MC during the moderated Q&A. Live captions are linked also at the top of that chat. Those are done by a human. I believe Vanessa, who is the same person who was in Portland last year, she's doing them again. And then, I mentioned if you have any questions, check out the help desk in the expo. We'll have people there kind of as a registration desk equivalent. And then really importantly, if anything happens with Hopin or kind of the online platforms, we have a Slack network as a backup. The WTD conferences is where we will be posting kind of any important announcements. If we have to change anything, if Hopin falls over, knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't. But we have some backup plans to stream the talks and everything if that happens. So just make sure you're there if you have issues with Hopin. So that's kind of the basics. There's more information in the welcome wagon guide and stuff, but I want to go over kind of the high level, what exactly are we doing here at the conference? Why are we all, sitting at our computers at the exact same time, kind of co-located in space? So one of the big things is we are a community conference. That's been a huge kind of important part of what we're doing for a long time. And what that really means is our primary goal is to build community. So that means to build connections, to build a sense of belonging. We're not here to really sell anything. We have our sponsors who are, a lot of people here get jobs and that kind of stuff. There's lots of commerce happening, but our core focus and our core mission is to build community and to help people connect. And that's super important because that's a very needed thing in the world, especially in these moments. And so one of the really interesting things is as we have been building and Write the Docs community, we came up with this concept of a documentarian. And so we define kind of the people who are in this room, not by job title, because there's really whole number of different job titles in this room that are represented. We have writers, we have developers. Those are definitely the two kind of biggest groups. But then we also have people that are doing testing, marketing, developer relations, community management, support, DevOps and sysadmin kind of roles, designers. Anyone in a technical organization that cares about documentation, we consider part of our group and belongs in this virtual room. And so we use this word documentarian to kind of encompass all of that, right? We're not writers, we're not coders, we're not testers, we're not, we're none of those things in this space. We're all just people who care about documentation. And we have a lot of different perspectives, given our job backgrounds and our job titles on that. But all of that kind of differing perspective is super valuable. This would have been the 8th year of our conference in Portland. But as you can see here, we're really viewing this as kind of our first year. Like we really had to start over and rethink a lot of stuff. We're taking a lot of the learning and kind of the structure from our in-person events, and we'll see how that works online. We're pretty hopeful it will translate, but we're definitely going to have some rough edges here. We're this is really a new experience for us. This is our first event. So really, this is a year one. And in that vein, we really have no idea what we're doing this year. It's one of these things that as we trade our intro slides back and forth, Mikey and she always tries to tweak this to, make it sound like we really kind of know what we're doing. And maybe in our in-person events, it feels like we at least are along the path of kind of iteration and feedback with our in-person events. But truthfully, the online is something we just, we don't know how to do this perfectly yet. And so what this really means, what this slide is here for is to give you permission to give us feedback, give us ideas. If there's any kind of like small improvements or anything that you could make or that would make your experience better, please let us know and we'll do our best if we can to address them this year. But if not, we have two more. We have a Prague and an Australia and India conference later in the year where we really are going to kind of be iterating on this platform. So please, don't treat this as a finished product that is like wrapped and perfectly finished. This is all something we're all continuing to work on to make better for you. So the big thing that you should do at this event, like your job when you're in a Write the Docs conference, these are the three things that we really want you to focus on. The first is to make friends. My career and my professional world has been made immeasurably better by the fact that I have friends in the industry. And I have a lot of acquaintances and, connections and coworkers and all that kind of stuff. But I really have people that I also consider friends. And I think that's a really profound difference in my kind of enjoyment in the line of work and in my job. And so that's something we really try to do here. Our goal at the end of the day is to give you connections and acquaintances and really hope those turn into real friendships with people here in the industry and the community. And so that's definitely something that, we hope over the long term will kind of come out of these events. The other obvious one, right, is to learn something. Like we have all these wonderful speakers presenting really, really good talks that has so much information in them. And then the writing day and the unconferences and the booths and everywhere, there's just really, really smart people that have so much to teach. And so, coming in and really kind of learning from all the people that are here at the conference that are kind of making themselves available to you is super important. And there's so much to learn in every facet of the interaction that we're having here today. And then also to have fun, right? I mean, you could kind of treat this like a chore that you have to do for your job. But this is something we've really believed, especially in person, and we're trying to believe online as well, as, learning and networking and all this kind of stuff really can be fun. And we'll do our best to kind of come at it with that spirit, right? Where we're really trying to have a good time. And just because it's work doesn't mean it can't be fun. And so, yeah, those are kind of the goals and the kind of outcomes that we hope to have. And so how do we increase the chance of that happening? And this is one of the most important slides in this deck, because we do have a code of conduct. And as a slide in a little bit will say, that's a minimum. But what we really expect from you in our spaces is to have an amazing impact on other people and to be on your best behavior. So we want you to be welcoming to everyone you meet. We want you to be open, share your ideas, be vulnerable, and in return, be supportive of the people on the other side of that. If someone's open with you, be supportive, be positive, really kind of enforce, don't make them regret being vulnerable with you, I guess is one way to put it. But really, yeah, like the way that we all act in this space is the way that it'll feel. And if we're all just amazingly kind and friendly and open, this conference will feel really lovely. It'll feel like a community. And we've done that so successfully every year. And that's really just the goal here is, we want this place to feel like a big hug. And if we all kind of come at it with that intent, I think we'll have a great experience once again in our online space. And so the way that we act is the way that we will all experience this event. And so we really do hope that you act the way to others that you want to be treated yourself. So normally this is where we would have the slide of the Pac-Man rule, where I tell you to always leave space when you're standing in a circle so that new people can join your conversation, and makes the conference feel more inclusive. Sadly, we're not we couldn't figure out a way to translate that into an online space. But the other rule that we talk about every year is something that actually does translate really well. And the thinking behind this is that so the rule, I guess, is for every year you've attended, we encourage you to meet one new person every day. And so if it's your first year, your goal is very manageable. It really should be just meet one new person and try and form a connection with them. And that isn't super intimidating. But even more importantly, the people who have been here for a long time, who we really expect to be kind of like mentors or kind of leaders in the community, they have more responsibility. So for myself, this is my 8th year at the conference. And so I have to meet 8 new people each day. And so it's really up to me to try and make as many people feel comfortable, introduce them to the community, and really, be a liaison for people having a great time. And so each of you, I want you to think about kind of where you fit into the community, how long you've been around, and, take a little bit more responsibility to making sure other people have a good experience if you've been here a little bit longer. So that's kind of what that rule is about, is a way to kind of, give people an explicit rule for how, the longer term community members can be better, can make it a little bit easier for new people to get involved. And speaking of, you have permission to meet anyone who's at this event, whether it's me, whether it's a speaker, whether it's someone who works for some big company that's kind of scary. You definitely have permission from me to go out and talk to them or to kind of ping them on chat or whatever. That's really the point of this event, is to meet people and to connect. But you also have permission to maintain your mental health, right? We're all, it can be a lot to be through, these full days of conferences, even online. I think it's a little more tiring. So if you need to take a walk, if you need to take a break, if you need to skip a talk, do that if you need to. Don't feel like you have to sit glued to the computer the whole time. So as I mentioned, we do have a code of conduct, and we take it very seriously, and we do enforce it. So the most kind of important thing on this slide, I would say, is that we follow a standard process with reports. So if you file a report, your name will be kept confidential, and we have a set process where we will take your report, and then we will have a process in the back to deal with any outcomes that might come from that report. And then we'll also report back to you the outcomes, of course. So importantly, if anyone makes you feel uncomfortable or, does something that's, not okay, please talk to an organizer. There's like a little, on the people tab, there's a little filter for organizers who you can talk to, or you can go to the help desk if you don't know who you should talk to, and they can kind of point you in the right direction. Similarly, if you'd prefer, you can always email conduct@writethedocs.org at the conference or anytime, whenever there's an issue with the code of conduct in the community. And we do encourage people to report things, even if you're not sure if it's an issue. Because even if something was kind of borderline, it's better for us to know about it and know that it's happening than to never hear about it, because it's still useful for us to know if some people are acting, up to the line where it's not okay. If they do that a few times, that's definitely not okay. So please, even if you're not like 100% sure if there's an issue, we do, encourage you to report it. It's not a big scary thing to report something. It should be, something that you feel empowered to do. So that's kind of the high level of the conference. And so now let's talk about kind of each of the various events. So yesterday I went on a hike. I posted it on Twitter a little bit. I hope you did too. If we were in Portland, normally we would have a beautiful hike through Pittock Mansion and some beautiful views of Mount Hood. And more than likely we'd get rained on based on previous years. But yeah, so sadly we didn't have a hike this year. But yesterday we did have our virtual writing day. So that was kind of people working on open source projects or personal projects or just things they had that they could share, and working together on kind of the craft, right? Working together on, writing docs or kind of updating that kind of stuff. And it's really a different experience than, the conference itself, where it tends to be a lot of talking. The writing day is a lot of doing. So it's just kind of a neat way to pick up tips and tricks and all that kind of stuff. So definitely something we've definitely been excited about for a number of years. And then, as you can see, I'm one of the first of the speakers here on the main stage. We have a wide range of content that should be applicable to everyone. Definitely a lot of really interesting talks this year. We had over 100 submitted. And so we had to kind of choose these from that 100 pool. And so it's always a heart-wrenching decision every year, like, saying no to lots of really great talks. But if your talk didn't get selected, we do hope that you submit again next year, because it doesn't mean it wasn't good. It's just there's only so many slots. And then as previous years, we have live captioning, but new this year, we have a moderated Q&A, which is super exciting. And so lightning talks, if you're curious about speaking, this is a great chance to give your first conference talk. My first ever conference talk was actually a lightning talk at DjangoCon. And so that was really kind of what got me on the stage and what got me kind of comfortable speaking. And so there's a sign up form. If you go to the reception tab, there'll be a link to a Google form that you can fill out. And then each day we'll do a form that you fill out. And then right around noon, before the last talk before lunch, we'll cut that off, and then we'll choose the speakers, and then we'll announce who's speaking. And then you'll be given a link, and then after lunch, you'll be first up after lunch. So you'll actually be, speaking in front of all of us, like I am right now. Of note, they're up to 5 minutes. They can definitely be shorter, and slides are optional. And so it's really not, anything that you want to talk about at work, a cool project, or if you, have a band or whatever it is that's interesting to you that you want to share, that's a chance to get up on stage and share it in real time. The unconference, it happens right after this talk. It's Monday all day and Tuesday after the job fair. And that is basically a structured space for spontaneous conversation. So normally this would be a series of tables, and we have a series of online tables. And you just sign up on a Google Sheet and you put in a topic and a time. And then people who care about that topic show up. So if you really care about, documentation analytics, you can just do a documentation analytics session, and maybe 6 people will show up and you'll just have a conversation about it. And it's a really great way to kind of get more in-depth knowledge and more in-depth kind of conversations around a topic that you care about, that maybe there isn't a specific talk on, or maybe you just want to dive deeper into something that was mentioned in a talk. This is a great place for that. So you just sign up on the Google form, like I said. Sorry about that. So as I noted, the unconferences, we have a kind of a cheat sheet, which are linked, and they're also on our website. And don't feel trapped, right? If you just drop in on one and you think it's kind of going to be interesting and it's not what you thought, feel free to drop out and go watch a talk or go to a different one. And most importantly, we really hope that the hosts will moderate or choose someone else. If you don't feel comfortable at the beginning of the session, be like, hey, I'm not comfortable moderating, but I'd love for someone else to step up and just kind of be able to kind of make sure everyone has a chance to talk, and makes it a good experience for everyone involved. And so we do ask that folks attempt to moderate, but then you can always kind of ping an organizer or a moderator at the help desk on chat and just say, hey, I need some help moderating or whatever at the last minute if something gets out of hand. We're happy to kind of jump in and be bad cop. So Tuesday morning, after the first talk, is the job fair. So all of our sponsors will have a chance to have a table, and you'll be able to talk to them about the job openings they have and the culture and all that kind of stuff about working there. And many of those jobs are also posted at our job board at jobs.writethedocs.org. If you want to take a peek, you can find some of the opportunities there before the job fair. New this year, we've always done a social event. But this year, it's actually going to be kind of similar to our unconferences, but we're actually hoping to do kind of attendee-hosted gaming and storytelling and just kind of online sessions where we're getting together, on the same platform, but doing something a little bit more fun and more social than, talking about docs all day. And so this is Monday evening from 7 to 10. So that's tonight. So we already have a few topics on the Google Sheet. But if there's anything, if you've been kind of doing, pandemic gaming online with friends or anything like that, feel free to step up to host something for the social event, because we're trying something new this year and hoping it'll be pretty fun and a way to kind of connect at a different level with other attendees. But we don't really know how it's going to go, so we'll see. And then we have the Welcome Wagon. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you saw the Welcome Wagon guide or the Welcome Wagon kind of introduction video. We link that in the emails we sent out. But we're super excited about all that content. And the Welcome Wagon is here at the help desk, and they're here just to kind of help you, get the best out of the conference. If you have questions or anything like that, if you just want someone to talk to, you have kind of a philosophical question or anything like that. They're super friendly, and they're ready to kind of help and talk you through kind of whatever questions you have. And so normally in conference in person, they'd be around, walking around, having a good time. And I'm sure they'll be hanging out kind of in the networking tab, popping up randomly. But yeah, so they're kind of our formalized kind of welcome committee. So yeah, so that is all the bits and pieces of the conference, at least the large pieces. There's so many little small things that I'm sure will happen over the next couple of days that'll make this experience memorable. And we do, definitely think, anything that you can think of that would, spice it up or make it a little bit more enjoyable for folks. Feel free to suggest or do things like that. And so we wanted to thank all of our speakers. The conference wouldn't be the same without them. They're put a bunch of work into presenting these talks and sharing their knowledge. The volunteers, staff, and organizers. We have really amazing AV people, like our, kind of AV staff, our captioner. There's a bunch of folks kind of behind the scenes making this all work, along with our kind of organizers and volunteers, making this all look smooth. And then, of course, our sponsors, especially this year when kind of everything was changed up, and it's been really kind of a rough road to get here, I would say. And our sponsors, pretty much all of them, have stuck with us just amazingly well. And so we really do appreciate them this year. And then I think something that's not thought about quite as enough is actually, the attendees. This event wouldn't exist if people didn't buy tickets and show up and, host on conferences and do the writing day and everything. Like, it's really all of you that make this event what it is every year. And so, we're really grateful that everyone is here and everyone is taking the time out of their day and out of their lives to kind of build this community and, make this event what we really hope it can be. So that part's just, everyone here is super important, and we really appreciate it all. So these are our kind of full list of sponsors. I'm going to mention the top few, which is Microsoft, who's our kind of keystone sponsor. And then Reed Dockley and Google are kind of our other kind of top three. They're going to be the one with booths. But everyone up here had the option for a job fair booth. And so pretty much all of them, I believe, should be at the job fair. So definitely take the time to chat with them and see what openings they have and, what it's like to work there. And so at the end of these, we always like to talk a little bit more about kind of the Write the Docs community as a whole. This is one of our few times where we get to kind of do that in person each year. It's not a ton of slides or anything, but just kind of want to touch on a few things that we're thinking about. So just kind of a status update. We have the Portland conference, but then we also have our Prague conference, and then our Australia conference this time is partnering up with India. And so it's really cool, actually, with our kind of online events. These actually map really well. I think Portland's UTC -7, Prague's, I think, UTC +1. And then I think Australia and India are like UTC +8 or +10. And so it's really cool. We have kind of a full spread of the globe with time zones. So someone should be able to find an event for them the whole year long. And we're really excited, especially with that kind of Australia and India pairing. It's showing the power of virtual, right? Like we can have an event that spans, countries and cultures and continents all together. And that's really something that we've been thinking more about as an online event and the opportunities that are available for doing that. And that's definitely something we're hoping to kind of figure out and work on even more so as we, do more and more online events going forward. Before everything, before the pandemic hit, we had an amazing meetup community, and a lot of these are still going strong with virtual meetups all across the world. That's been really exciting to see. Our Slack community this month, I think, just passed 10,000 members, which is pretty amazing. And then our monthly newsletter, which is kind of a distillation of 4 or 5 really interesting conversations on Slack, has over 7,000 subscribers this month. And so those are both just incredibly impactful, and they work perfectly during a pandemic, right? Slack and the newsletter are, they're really great for kind of keeping in touch with the community and making sure you kind of know what's going on. And so that's a great milestone to kind of hit this year. So looking at the future, we were like this close to an East Coast conference. We had the venue picked out. We were kind of negotiating with them. We were really close to signing. And so if our Portland event would have happened normally in May, we would have done a kind of fall East Coast US conference. Hopefully, and at sometime in the next couple of years, we'll get back to that really exciting venue and actually have that East Coast event. So that's definitely something we were really close to this year, but wasn't meant to be, obviously. And then more and more, kind of as a community, is trying to figure out how we can move things online, how we can support people, meetups and the Slack, and just kind of like finding ways to support people. We found so much value and so much meaning in gathering in person, and so trying to rebuild that meaning and that kind of experience online is something we've been thinking a lot about. But even the organizer team and the volunteers who write the docs, like this year's been really hard for us too, and so we're trying to manage our energy to focus on the things we can actually achieve and get this conference out the door. And it's definitely been a whole lot of work, and we're definitely just thinking more and more about how we can do more of this and support people. And then we're definitely planning to do another salary survey, maybe even during this conference. We'll see if we get all of our ducks in a row. But then we're also thinking about if there's additional surveys that would be interesting, like a tools survey, talking about what tools people are using, how you're deploying, how you're doing search, all that kind of stuff. I think would be really interesting. Once we get that kind of survey infrastructure a little more streamlined, definitely thinking about if there's more value we can be providing through surveys is definitely something that is on our mind. So we're really excited for the conference this year. We really hope that you'll stay in touch, both throughout the conference, on Twitter with the hashtag, and on Instagram as well, if that makes sense. And then throughout the year, you can always jump on our Slack. It's active every day of the year. And so definitely, with the online event, don't feel like this is kind of the end of it and you're going to, you have to kind of fade away into the background. We're definitely here as a community throughout the year, and you can always reach us, and you can always reach other people in the community through those channels. And so we just wanted to say thank you and welcome to everyone. I am gonna hopefully do the first moderated Q&A. We'll do get the bugs worked out during the one with me, so it'll probably take a little while to do the switch over here once we kind of figure it all out. But so if you have any questions, definitely throw them in the chat, and I'll attempt to answer some. But otherwise, I will talk to you all soon. And thank you so much for coming, and welcome to the conference. All right. Thank you.